You're known as the tech statesman of India.
I've been at it in terms of getting the technology business to happen in multiple ways. The government went and did something which was not correct. So I went and met a minister at his home and I was telling him that you must support hardware. And then he looked at me and said,
We saw a campaign called Made in India.
when the Prime Minister talked about Make in India, he didn't define it.
Wallets to everything is on the phone, and that phone, the data is not there in India.
So that is the danger of sort of being so dependent.
We have Zoho in India. There was a big backlash. The owner of Zoho, people started portraying him as a BJP supporter.
This is the whole problem. You get carried away.
AI is there everywhere now. Do you think it's a threat, or you think
Of course it's a threat. I think
1976, the year we remember when Steve Jobs created the first Apple computer. But do we realize that a bunch of dreamers, our very own engineers, were creating India's first homegrown computer? Today, we have one of those dreamers on our show. Let's welcome Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, co-founder of Start With. You're known as the tech statesman of India. What do you think with that title is the responsibility that comes on your shoulders?
Well, actually, it was very interesting that they called it on my 75th birthday. And I've been at it in terms of getting the technology business to happen in multiple ways. And I started to work about 30 odd years ago into influencing government policy and advocating for certain areas where I felt that the government was not doing enough. And so my journey started early days when we set up HCL and we designed our own computer around the same time as Apple introduced its PC. So we are really one of the pioneers in India and the world. But I started noticing that around the late 90s, we were really growing well. We started our business in 76. By 86, we were number one computer company in India, 10 years. But then around late 90s, the government went and did something which was not correct. And they went and signed an agreement with World Trade Organization to change the duty structure in India and to ensure that all imports were made zero duty from 2005. Now, the industry was not prepared for it. And that is really why when I started my journey with trying to convince the government to look at it differently, those days the BJP government was there at that time, and I was told that they are setting up a task force for software. So I approached Jaswant Singh's team and I said, why just software? Why not hardware? So they said, okay, why not? So why don't you come and tell us why? So I made a presentation to that whole task force and they agreed to create a hardware task force. They were very open. And it was set up and we created a plan to mitigate the problems that we were going to face by 2005. Right. Where duties will be made zero. So we needed to ensure that there was enough incentives provided for domestic companies to be able to compete. That report was beautifully written. A lot of us worked on it. But unfortunately, it never saw the light of the day. And then the government changed. So that whole thing died. But since then, I've been quite deeply involved in working with the government, advising them on why they should create a business around hardware.
Right.
And you'll be surprised, about 15, 20 years ago, I went and met a minister at his home. And I was telling him that you must support hardware. And then he looked at me and said, look, let's do software in India and let China do hardware. And so what I wrote early days was that at some stage, there will be a day when the electronics import bill will be higher than the oil bill. And that became true.
Right.
And we ignored that. And we look at where we are today. I mean, if you look at the situation that is existing today, is not good for the country.
Absolutely. So, since we're talking of today, I think our country has been more service-oriented country and not a manufacturing company. Even we say that a lot of companies are shifting their manufacturing hubs to India, but if you actually go and visit those hubs, they are actually just big assembly lines where
Yeah.
the pieces are being imported from outside, and we are only assembling them and fitting them together and giving it out to the Indian audience. Uh, how do you think, these young boys and girls who are the future of this country, and we proudly say that we have the largest youth workforce, how do we motivate them to get into manufacturing, get into creating products, which we saw a campaign called Made in India, but how do we, was it more like a, if I have to say that, just a campaign, but nothing really went to on ground. So how do you think what that one thing that Indian youngsters should focus upon in getting into design and manufacturing new products out of this country?
You see, when the Prime Minister talked about Make in India, he didn't define it. Everybody assumed that assembly is good enough. But that is not correct. Because later on, even this year, he talked about designing and making in India. So I think it was completely misunderstood. But unfortunately, that's what's happened. Most of the manufacturing that is happening today is very low value addition in the country. Now, good news is that the government is seriously listening now, because I've been discussing this with various people in the government, including the Honorable Minister.
Right.
And I've been saying that we must create more value addition. We just can't be dependent on production-linked incentive scheme for too long.
Right.
Because that will take us 5 years. But then what beyond that? And unless we create a differentiated strategy for India, we will always be me too. So therefore, the suggestion was that we should create hundreds of design companies in India and utilize the brains of the country.
Yeah.
And if you look at the youngsters who are coming out of engineering schools, etc., do they know manufacturing or do they know design? A lot of them have studied design,
Yeah.
in like VLSI design, etc. People have studied, but they have not yet been taken to the next stage of making a product.
Right.
So I think that is a missing link in our whole curriculum, that we must make sure that children are taught how to make a product.
Right.
Look at how China started. China started where we started.
Yeah.
They were designing very early days. We were also designing in the early 70s, but because of WTO we lost it. And that benefit of starting with design to manufacture became only assembly. So now the government has decided that they will support design and manufacturing in electronics. And this process was started about a couple of years ago when a task force was set up. And we advised the government that you've already set up semiconductor plants. Why not create products and chips that can actually fill the plants? So instead of just waiting for global business, create an India business. Right. And you see, in India's benefit today in the world is that 80% of our revenue and GDP is from India itself.
Yeah.
Export is 20%. So why not utilize that? And
Yes.
that our market is huge. Our government business is large. Why not start here? And therefore, I am encouraging startups to create design companies, product companies in different areas. Electronics, drones, space, all these areas. Yeah. And I believe design to manufacturing is where India's strength lies. China went from manufacturing to design to manufacture and became the product center of the world.
Yes.
But if you look at the Vietnams of the world, they don't have design capability.
Yeah. They're now becoming the next.
They're only manufacturing. Now
yes.
they're trying to create design.
Yes. So, it's a double-edged sword when we say that we should promote Made in India products and But then when you look at the global products, they are far better in quality. Today, consumer has access to everything, and today we want the best of the lot. So, simple example, iPhones and Samsungs. We had, I think, one company which launched and got, was not able, Micromax, which was an Indian phone company, and was not able to build the quality and sustain the quality of products. It launched in a big way, but was not able to sustain when it comes to the global competition. Now, if you give certain subsidy or if you put certain high import duties, those products become expensive for the Indian consumers. Like a very simple example is auto industry. Today we see Mahindra is a design plus a manufacturing company. Tata is also one. They have in fact now are creating cars which are, I feel, are better designed than even their global competitors. But because of the import duties, high import duties, the same quality or the better quality cars are much more expensive for the Indian consumers. How do we balance that?
You see, auto is a great example that you picked up. They took a decision to give enough time to Indian companies to be able to come up to that standard, which Mahindras and Tatas have achieved. Now they can compete with anybody in the world.
Yeah.
This we did not do in electronics. We just allowed zero duty to happen, and without consulting any industry. So it was done without consultation. In the case of automobiles, there's been serious consultation between the government and the industry. And they have ensured that a particular time period was given for them to be successful. Right. And that's why they have been able to achieve it. See, design doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely.
Quality does not happen overnight. You need time.
Yes.
And you need processes to be improved over a period of time, which is what has been happening in automobiles. But in electronics, the government just refused to do that. Right. And I think now the new government is very much aware that we must become a product nation rather than remaining a trader country.
True.
And look at the challenges that we face today. The challenge of sovereignty is a huge challenge. You look at every software product you can think of is American.
Yeah.
Including all social media and everything. So what does that do? Everything is on the cloud. What does it do? It makes sure that all your data goes out of the country.
Right.
Number one. You look at hardware, everything is Chinese.
Right.
So we are squeezed as a country.
Yeah.
US controls software, China controls hardware, and we are completely squeezed. We make nothing. All we can talk about in India is DPI, which is one software product that we have created, which is global and fantastic. But besides that, we have nothing. Now, something very serious happened recently. Naira Energy, a joint venture with Russia, overnight Microsoft stopped its services due to sanctions. What does it do to that company? They don't have email overnight. Same thing happened to their ERP system.
Yes.
SAP, a German company, stopped service to them.
Yeah.
Now, these kind of sanctions are likely to happen in this unipolar world.
True.
Trump has made the world go upside down, where everybody is looking at their own.
Yeah.
So all kinds of sanctions you can expect. China's stopped exporting rare earth material. These are all kinds of sanctions that are going to hit us. So I think step by step, we should create our own software products to replace imports. And the same thing we should do in hardware. Step by step, we should take it up.
True. See, we definitely have one advantage that we are the largest consumer,
Yes.
because we are the biggest country in terms of population.
Yeah.
Right? But as you were saying, and since you took that example of Microsoft, we have Zoho in India. And we have seen, from Amit Shah to everybody who have started tweeting that now we are using Zoho email IDs and not dependent on Microsoft, which is a US-based company. But somewhere what happened was there was a big backlash. The owner of Zoho, who has been one of the pioneers in, developing new stuff in India, suddenly uh, people started portraying him as a BJP supporter. Because the BJP
Poor chap.
politician, tweeted that they're using his email address.
That's why he's getting that business. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't realize that.
When the government starts actively supporting somebody, that's the problem backlash which happens. What do you think that how even the youth today is also responsible and should be responsible enough that they should not just go via the social media news?
You see, this is the whole problem. You get carried away with all kinds of news that comes through social media because the youth doesn't read newspapers.
Yeah.
Youth does not read books. Youth is totally dependent on reels. Now, this is an absolute disaster because unless you actually go deeper into a subject, you are going to react to useless stuff like this.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't make sense. But what I want to say is that why is it that we are suddenly realizing that we need to use Zoho in the government?
Yeah.
The reason for it is all the data that is being today taken up by all the global companies does not stay in India. It's
Right.
very dangerous. So I think it's important that, as I said earlier, step by step we should replace all the software products that we are importing and reduce our burden of dollar buying. And similarly in hardware. And similarly in every other area you can think of. Look at drones today. Even when we make drones in India, we are assembling them.
Right.
The components and the software and controllers, most of it comes from China.
Yeah.
So tomorrow you start using a drone against Pakistan and China controls it remotely, what will you do?
It'll come back to India.
It'll attack us rather than attacking Pakistan.
Absolutely.
So, we are not in a good situation, therefore.
And that was one of the things which I actually saw because my brother-in-law is in the armed forces and my father has been an ex-Air Force officer. So I keep reading about defense forces, because of the personal link to them. That our forces started, first they banned all the Chinese phones which were there, inside their official premises. Second, they're also developing their own telecom line so that the data doesn't go and it is secure. And you're absolutely right. Today, everything from our wallets to everything is on the phone, and that phone is not, the data is not there in India. It goes outside of India, be it WhatsApp to Facebook to social media.
Or through Chinese chips
Or
to
through
China.
Chinese chips to China.
So that is the danger of sort of being so dependent.
Yeah.
I think this dependency is something that we brought upon ourselves.
True.
Look at the quality of software companies that exist in this country. Phenomenal quality. Large number of software companies.
Yes.
But everybody is focused on software, exports.
Yeah.
Everybody is in a business of services. Hardly any company is in products. Except for HCL, most other companies are all into services. But the capability exists in this country. As a matter of fact, large number of companies in India, software companies, design products in India for other companies.
Yeah.
Whether you look at, and even if you look at global companies, Intel, Nvidia, AMD, Qualcomm, MediaTek, all of them have their research and development centers sitting in India. That means that chips are actually designed in India. The IP resides in America. All the profit resides in America. हम लोग क्या करते हैं? We are only giving warm bodies. And they're using our warm bodies to create products for the world. So if they can create, we can also create.
Absolutely. And because, as I said, we have the largest population, the day we say that we have banned TikTok, the day we decide to do that, we can be self-sufficient.
But the day we banned TikTok, we should have promoted an Indian company,
Not
which is the
Instagram.
mistake we made.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what China has done. Step by step, as they have banned global companies, they've created their own products, and they make sure that only those companies get business.
Right.
And that is how they've succeeded in creating large number of product companies in China.
Absolutely.
Today, for example, you look at Huawei, very famous company in networking,
Yes.
number one networking company in the world, but they got phenomenal support from China.
Yes.
And what they did was that all government business was given to Huawei. They scaled them. हमारी country में तो government does not buy Indian products. They buy mainly imported products.
Right. So, also talking about the e-waste, right, which is now becoming one of the biggest problems for this country. And I read and I heard in one of your previous interviews that actually that can become one of the biggest advantage for this company
Yes.
if we,
Yeah.
use it properly. Would love to hear about that as well.
You see, e-waste we are the second largest e-waste country in the world
Yes.
because of our population. But
Yep.
why is it happening? Why is e-waste happening? Because we are no longer working with the Indian way of thinking. We are not using Indian ethos. We are following the West. So what do? We buy and throw, buy and throw. And that is the problem behind e-waste.
E-waste.
So first thing we should correct is that we should learn to reuse and repair. We do not have a strategy what the Americans adopted and the Europeans adopted of right to repair. All are repair. If you buy an Apple, you need to get it repaired by Apple. You want to buy a Samsung, you need to get it repaired by Samsung.
Yeah.
But all major countries are now insisting that companies open up their designs and components so that anybody can repair.
Yeah.
This is a very serious problem. And Apple will also ensure that every 2 years you have to have a new product. This is not the way India ever thought before. हमारे यहाँ तो अगर आपने शर्ट खरीदी तो आपका छोटा भाई भी वही शर्ट यूज करेगा 2 साल बाद.
True.
This is typical India. We reused everything that we could think of.
Absolutely.
But this model, the West has corrupted. So, 2 things we need to do. One, utilize this e-waste and convert it to minerals which are required, critical minerals that are required for creating batteries, for EVs and all these products, because the only large supplier in the world is China.
Right.
And they have weaponized it today. And they're saying, I'm not going to export it to you. What does it do for you? Your EV industry faces trouble while their EV industry grows. True. And it's a deliberate move and it's weaponized. So I call this, what this is called is, urban mining. Rather than the mining that you would do to generate this. So I think this can be a very good source for us to convert to critical materials. But parallelly, we should also promote the whole idea of designing products in India that are repairable.
Right.
We do not have products that are repairable. And that is the reason why e-waste gets created.
True. So, but again, it's I say, both sides of coins, if I have to say today. If a company like Tupperware, just to give you an example, created one of the best products in their industry, but that led to the closure of the company because end of day their products are so durable that nobody changed them for years and years. Right. So people would want something which continues to the continuity of business goes on. So that's why the Indian system, which you said, which we used to call it jugaad, of repairing and reusing it, somewhere also would lead to the hindrance in the continuity of business, because then people would not aim to take the new products. Because like I'm just giving you an example. I have a Dell tablet which is. My daughter just took it out from some Almirah. She asked me, how old is this tablet, Dad? I've never seen it. I said, it's older than you. You are 8-year-old, that tablet is 11-year-old. And she just opened it out of curiosity. And she loved it because 11 years back, that tablet had a built-in projector in it, where you can just project everything on a big screen to 100-inch, which today also doesn't exist. And then she asked, Dad, this is such a nice piece. Can I use it? I said you can, but then the problem is that there is no software upgrades on that system because they want you to buy the new one. So the companies are forcing you to switch to new products.
Yes.
Otherwise,
But that's the Western way.
that's the Western way.
Yeah.
You rightly said.
We don't need to follow it 100%.
True.
After all, don't forget that Western world, the population is decreasing.
Yes.
In our country, the population is
population is
still increasing and stabilizing maybe in next 20, 30 years. So we have enough numbers to sell any product. So why worry about it?
Enough numbers to sell any product, and I think enough numbers to make and rise and fall of any company that we want.
Yes.
That,
Not
that
a
is
problem.
true. That's
Not
true.
a problem.
Since we're talking about future, AI is there everywhere now. Like for me also, when I had to go for any podcast interviews, the last thing before 5 minutes jumping into it, I double check my questions from AI. If I'm missing out something or not missing out something. I've been using it as a tool, but on one side, our next generation is becoming too dependent upon it. And when a generation becomes too dependent on technology, it is also leading to them not having their own thinking capabilities. So if that continues, you think it will lead to a place where we'll become buffoons, if I have to say, who will have no thinking capabilities and we'll just depend upon a technology to tell us what to do next. You think it's a threat, or you think
Of course, it's a threat.
boon?
I think this is where parents need to take a view. They should not allow beyond a stage for people to use screens. Using screens is actually a problem. It's a problem for your thinking. It's a problem for your eyes.
Yeah.
So I think that is where it can be controlled in some manner. But you can't take away technology when it exists.
Yes.
And so therefore, it is going to be an issue that faces us and our next generation very deeply. And I don't have an answer for it today because it's a very difficult situation that we are facing. And the only way probably you can do it is that when we started putting tablets in schools, our objective was to actually utilize it for teaching. We need to ensure that the tablets that are provided do not have those facilities that are there for ChatGPT, etc.
Right.
Now, till yesterday, everybody thought that ChatGPT and all these were very secure. But a report as of yesterday says they are not secure.
True.
So, these are also issues that are coming up.
That's true. So, in fact, one of my ex-colleagues was telling me that he has installed a AI bot on his phone who is like a personal assistant to him. Now, and we had an argument the same way that you're saying, that it has access to everything on his phone.
You see, you better watch out. Like, for example, a lot of people have been using Alexa speakers in their homes.
Yeah.
When I started using it 4-5 years ago, and I suddenly realized one day that Alexa knows everything that I do. So I just unplugged it. And I said, I won't use it again. Just imagine that you're sitting in your dining area and talking among the family, and all the family issues are known to them.
Absolutely.
I mean, so it's a disaster.
Yeah.
So, this security problem is something that definitely should worry us.
Right.
Because this is something that they're just literally eavesdropping on us.
True.
And it's not a good situation to be in.
So, we've seen the number of IITs and IIMs have grown in India, right? We earlier had 3 or 4 IITs, and now with
One IIT in every state.
yes, so that's what is happening. But in those IITs, you think we are actually teaching our engineers to become more design and product making mindset, or is it more again getting into software than into the hardware designing part? What is your
Actually,
thought about it?
something not that good has happened in the last 15-20 years. In some ways, it has helped the country. In some ways, it's been not too good for the country. literally every engineer went into a software company.
Yeah.
And so I'm literally talking against myself when I say HCL is also a software company today. But the challenge is that all engineers, instead of looking at making products, have gone into services.
Yeah.
Suddenly now, software services are facing headwinds due to AI and automation.
Yes.
So therefore, the jobs are reducing. I think it's good because somewhere people who are engineers will remain engineers.
Yeah.
Today, or till yesterday, all engineers, whether you were a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer, or electrical engineer, you went to a software company. But there's another problem. Our problem is that our curriculum has not kept up to date.
Absolutely.
Our curriculum does not teach anyone to make a product. And that's where the problem is. So that curriculum needs to be amended, and we need to have all engineers being taught how to make a product. And
True.
that is what will actually enable large number of startups to get created. See, today startups get created. चलो मैंने ये ऐप बना लिया, अब ये सब पुरानी बातें हो गई,
Yeah.
क्योंकि ये जो ऐप है ये तो चैट जीपीटी बना देगा. सो क्यों बनाना? So I think we need to think differently. The startups that are the youngsters who are coming out not need to think of creating different types of startups.
Yeah.
If you look at 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, how many space startups were there in the country? Pretty close to zero.
Yeah.
Today there are 500 space startups in the country. Why? The reason for it is that the government also took a very good decision to open up space to private sector.
Yes.
So I think this part is something that government needs to do more of. Atomic energy has recently been opened to private sector. But why not open it totally? See, because today, what do we do in atomic energy? We make large reactors.
Yeah.
We need nuclear energy. But it takes 10 years to put up an atomic energy plant. But globally, small reactors have started to come out. SMRs and MMRs that they are called.
Yes.
This could be an easy area. This could be a great area for people to start getting into. Today in the US, there are many SMR, MMR startups. Actually, there are startups that are actually going to the next stage of atomic energy. Till now, we've been using fission. The future is in fusion.
Fusion.
And fusion startups have started to come out. So, there is so much opportunity in the world to be able to create energy, to be able to create batteries, to be able to create drones, EVs, all these technologies are there.
Yeah.
So the opportunity for youngsters today are
immense.
many, many more than that existed 15, 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
And so they should start to look at areas where they can really add value and create some products that they can actually market in India and then globally.
True. And from your conversation, I also feel that Indian youngsters should also look at creating the Indian versions that can make us self-sufficient of, and
every product.
Of every product. Which is
Yes.
there.
Because, you talk about Micromax failing. Micromax failed because of a very specific reason. Micromax didn't design its own products. The Chinese enticed them to buy their product kits.
Yep.
They would get these kits into India, put them together and sell under Micromax brand.
Yeah.
But the company behind it was a company called BBK. BBK owns close to 5 phone brands in India as well as in China. What they did was a very smart thing. They got Lava and Micromax to actually pick up their technology and products, brand them as Micromax and Lava.
Right.
And when the market size increased, they literally dumped the Micromaxes of the world and came directly. So they killed the Indian industry.
Yeah.
But the Indian industry is to blame themselves because they never invested into R&D.
True. And we could have, while they were planning to do this, we could have imported their technologies and designed products, our indigenous products here.
Yes.
True.
So today we don't have a single India phone.
No, we don't. Absolutely, we don't. That's true. And somewhere I also feel that it's the mindset of Indian consumers is it's there's a fantasy about the foreign products. Like you would love a Netflix over a Hotstar because you feel proud of associating with best. And that's exactly what is happening. They're trying to change a lot of our philosophies which had made us stronger, and
Yeah,
they're corrupting us.
yes, yes. Actually, in a lot of ways, they are corrupting us. So I think we need to be very careful about one issue. In this country, when India wins a cricket match, we are very proud of India.
Yeah,
But when we create an Indian product, why are we not proud of being Indian? Why don't we buy Indian?
true.
So I think this is a philosophy that is very deep in countries like Japan.
Yeah,
They love their country, they respect their products, and they intend to buy mainly Japanese products. For a long time, 3G, 4G was not there in Japan, if you recall.
Yeah.
They had their own system. Only when they sort of got forced into it that they started using international. But the point I'm trying to say is that why are we not proud of what we do? If we are proud of winning a cricket match, why can't we be proud of using an Indian product?
Absolutely. So just with that note, what will be your advice to the youth of India? Because as we discussed over our chat, that we are the largest, young country, young population in the world. And if we desire to change how the world thinks about us, we can immediately do that. We can I think shut some companies if we decide to stop using them.
Yes.
And if we decide to start promoting our own brands and companies, we can immediately make them the world products. So what would be your advice to the youth?
I think the opportunity in India, because of our large population and buying power, is so high that Indian startups should start to relook at the way they are doing things today. Till yesterday, the name of the game was take an American concept, convert it to India. So that's what we did in e-commerce and a whole bunch of areas.
Yes.
Very few unique products got created. Very few unique companies got created. But I think we should be very proud of the Indian mind.
Yes.
Look at what's happened globally. Microsoft was not doing well. An Indian took it over and turned it around.
True.
So, globally, I always say this, globally Indian mind is respected.
But in India, it is
In
not.
India, why is it not respected?
True.
So I think what the youngsters should do is to look at problems of India. Problem statements they should pick up. Village में क्या problem है? शहर में क्या problem है? Let's look at problems.
Yes.
And each of these problems can be solved by startups.
Yes.
Because they will think differently. They will innovate.
Yes.
Look at it. All the research and innovation fundamentally happens in startups globally.
Yeah.
Not just in India. Big companies don't take risks in terms of doing R&D and creating something new because they don't want their existing things to get killed. But startups don't have that problem. They can start with a blank slate. So let's take few examples of problems
Sure.
which startups can solve. There's severe air pollution in Delhi.
Yeah.
Why can't startups think about reducing air pollution and creating products to solve that problem? Don't just look at creating air purifiers in the room. Think of the complete city like Delhi or Bombay where they can make a change. So this is a problem that stares at us.
Yeah.
Second problem that stares at us. We've started having urban floods now. You've seen it in Bombay. Every year it happens. You see it in Chennai. You see it in Delhi. You see it in Gurgaon. All over the place it's happening. Startups can find a solution of how to reduce urban floods. Let's look at another problem. In Bangalore city, What is the problem? Biggest problem of Bangalore?
Traffic congestion. Yeah.
Everybody knows that. Why can't a startup look at solving that problem? So there are just so many problems of India
That can be solved.
you can pick up and solve. They may look difficult in the beginning, but they're all solvable by using your brains.
True. But since we are talking about these problems, a lot of these problem solving comes with government support, right? And if our government, be it any government, it's not
Why
just...
do we think like that? I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I have a startup who's actually working on urban problems
Okay.
in Chennai. Okay, and they're genuinely looking at how they can solve this problem. So, don't externalize the problem, is my message to startups or youth.
Right.
Don't externalize. ये नहीं बोलो कि गवर्नमेंट मेरे लिए ये नहीं करती, ये सब छोड़ दीजिए. Think of what you can do on your own. And if you need government support, go and push for it. That's secondary. But the first objective should be to do something on your own, not just depend on something else.
Right.
And when I wrote my book 2 years ago, I actually called it Just Aspire. Why did I call it Just Aspire? My whole objective to communicate to the youngsters of this country was that if you aspire, anything can be done.
True.
Aspiration is the most important part.
Yes.
My guru, Dr. C.K. Prahlad, used to teach us A is greater than R. If you have the aspiration, resources will happen. When we started HCL, what did we have? There was nothing called startups.
Yeah.
There was nothing called VCs. There was nothing called angels.
True.
As a matter of fact, there were things against us. We needed to have a license to make a computer. So when we started out, how much money did we have? 1.86 lakhs. What is the size of HCL today? $15 billion,
Yeah.
employing 300,000 people. So it was all about aspiration.
Right.
Don't externalize the problem is my message to the youth.
I think that's a very, very powerful message that you've given, sir. And we've seen the examples. Of course, in startups, we've seen HCL is one of the biggest examples. And even if you have to say from how youth has changed, Bombay, we have seen the beach clean activity is one of the biggest example where government failed.
Yes.
But individuals, they rose up to the situation. And today we have one of the cleanest beaches in the country.
Yes. So I think that is what is required,
Yeah.
is that we should take the whole thing in our hands and say, I'll try to do it.
Right.
We don't have any lack of brains.
I think thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful conversation. I would, say that one very, very important message which I have taken from this conversation is believe in yourself. Take a stand rather than talking about dining table problems. Take a stand, rise, and one person can actually change it into an army of people who can solve those problems which are existing around you. Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
This is your host, Nitin Burman, signing off from Impact Circle.